And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have two of my good brothers and sisters. We have the man behind the Wanderer's Library, good brother Sig,
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening.
and our chaotic dragon gremlin, good sister Tabby.
Yes, I am definitely a dragon gremlin.
Don't make me put you in the box.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
This ain't that kind of stream.
I don't stream to OnlyFans.
Not what I was thinking, but okay.
Just remember once again that the safe word is fuck Tim Willits.
Yes.
All right.
It's acceptable.
So we have hit the 3-in-1 rule after last week. So it is once again time for us to delve into a couple of one-shots. Now, one of the entries that we have for one-shots may look like it has a higher page count than normal, but it's one of those cases of a deceptive page count. So the two projects we're going to be looking at is Slipstream RX and Red Giant: A Cursed World. Now, the former is very much channeling F-Zero, and is also not that high on page count. It's only 18 pages. And with both of them, we're only dealing with mostly single column format. Although it is a bit of a pet peeve when a PDF is always in spreads instead of spreads or single page, which is why I didn't go spreads only. I know some projects on itch do that. And for those of you who are curious about either project, I have linked the itch page for Slipstream and the Drive-Thru-RPG page for Red Giant in the description on the YouTube side of things. And let me make sure that's going okay. I thought my playlist wasn't playlisting, but with that said, may I just state for the record how amusing it is that Nintendo is so dragging their feet about F-Zero that other people are saying, fine, we'll do it ourselves.
And Star Fox.
Which we have multiple cases of, fine, we'll do it ourselves on both instances. And I've seen some people call those games ripoffs. But to that I say, if we're not getting a new one in at least in a decade each, at least, I say let them. And no, I'm not counting F-Zero 99.
Yeah, that I did not like that game.
The last proper F-Zero game we got was GX back on the GameCube. I think.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah. And let me see when that released. That was 2003.
So
GX was such a good game. I'm a huge F-Zero fan. Like I played F-Zero X way too much.
And you should also be familiar with the pain of that one chapter that is blatantly channeling the movie Speed.
Which one?
I think it was chapter 9 in the story where you have a bomb on your ship, and if you go under a certain amount of kph, you lose.
Yep, I do remember that one. And in F-Zero X, I played it even more than F-Zero JX, but
yeah,
I was all about that death race.
But I like F-Zero. Sometimes it doesn't like me back. But the attitude I've had is if somebody else wants to carry the torch, I say let them and stop accusing them of being ripoffs or clones or whatnot. That's just a personal pet peeve of mine. I'm not a big fan of that kind of accusation being thrown out so casually.
Or people denying the existence of female role-playing game protagonists when there have been countless amounts of those.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Twitter earlier, and I just said presentism is a persistent disease because
Yep.
I couldn't help but notice that the examples in the initial tweet were stuff that's either just came out this year or was just announced this year.
Yep.
They always like to avoid anything from, you know, the 90s when there were lots of them that you could, like, I can think of like 5 or 6 right off the top of my head. So, like,
Yeah, but
and
that doesn't fit the narrative.
I know. Like, I'm even like, oh, it's been Fire Emblem, you know, and all this other stuff. So, um,
Which when I said presentism is a persistent disease, I was being nice. I could have posted that one meme of the Finding Nemo character that's always like, for the first time we have a strong female character in fiction, and it keeps repeating over and over like 5 times. But that is
of this one Kukuruyo meme that basically illustrates the same thing. It's like, it's the first female protagonist ever.
Yeah. But I could have responded with, "You are right about one thing. You can't think."
Right.
But getting back onto the rails, I see Cold Fusion getting a nod here. Wonder if they were intentionally obtuse with this project as well. I'm getting ahead of myself, but they do go into how it is a tabletop game, even if it's more focused on PvP. But people should still be encouraged to make a fun story.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what they put in at the end. The stunts you were about to see were performed by untrained people on the internet. But even with how small the PDF is, they still took the time to do bookmarks, which I appreciate. Welcome to the world of 2,000 kilometers per hour. And while F-Zero is the main inspiration that they're taking from, they're also drawing from Redout, or the Wipeout successor with the same cruelty as Wipeout, Extreme G, and of course F-Zero. As well as things like Speed Racer, Redline, Oban Star Races, and again, F-Zero.
And the nice Akira reference in the bottom right corner here.
At least it's not the Akira slide for the umpteenth damn time.
I know. I still like that. It's a nice touch.
But it is PvP oriented, obviously, since it is still a race. So for what you need, a set of colored tokens. You could probably just grab the tokens from a game of Sorry or something like that. Or they suggest soda bottle caps or tokens or charmingly named meeples. A deck of cards. About 3 to 6 hours of spare time and a square grid. So making the race map is likely going to be the most complicated process. It doesn't have to be an overly complicated track. It can be a simple circle corner rectangle like an ordinary NASCAR track. I I know what they're going for with that, but not every track in NASCAR is that circle corner.
Hmm.
Then you've got some more triangle ones like the one in Pocono, which is referred to as the tricky triangle for that exact reason.
Hmm.
Like even in even in stock car racing, every track is different and has its own quirks. And sometimes you end up getting a track that's built right into a stadium like in LA. And because of the confined area, um, sometimes fights have broken out, as one does.
Hmm.
But they say a size of 25 by 25 or 30 by 30 is the standard size for a racing track, roads being 3 squares wide. Mostly horizontal and vertical lines are encouraged, with a handful of diagonals for usage of grip. The necessary lines for every map are the starting line and the checkpoint. Uh, and we do have a link to a drive folder of some community made maps. You can also look at RC car tracks or maps from the old SNES or GBA racers.
Or you could be extremely trollish and just use the tracks from Yakuza Zero's little slot car racing.
Yeah.
That might not be such a good idea.
Uh, if I wanted to really be sadistic, there is one track that I know I would use, and it's the one that's probably one of the most infamous and sometimes dangerous tracks uh, in the entire world.
Uh-oh.
Are you all familiar with the Green Hell?
It sounds familiar. I'd probably know it if I saw it.
It is also known as the Nürburgring.
Again, also sounds familiar, but I'd probably know it if I saw it.
Oh, I just looked it up. It's in Germany.
Yep. It used to be on the F1 calendar. It hasn't for years. It is usually in like endurance race ones. I could go with either that or Le Mans. Although Le Mans is an oval with extra steps, but of course the big reason Le Mans is so infamous is it's a 24-hour race.
What in the hell is all of this at the bottom?
Uh, that red part of the image, that is a part of Nürburgring that was used for Grand Prix for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty sadistic.
Mm-hmm. These days, it's mostly used for motorcycle and Grand Prix, though it was used for truck races a few times.
I bet that turned out well.
uh, so because of it being right in the middle of a forest and how difficult the track is, that's given it the nickname the Green Hell.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it was a Scotsman who gave it that nickname, because who else would?
Right.
But when I was covering Extreme Formula, there was a track called the Red Hell in that game, and I just bust out laughing like, "You're not fooling me. That's Nürburgring."
Yep.
But I appreciate that they give some degree of advice on that, since not everybody's going to be artistically inclined when it comes to making the track or tracks if you're doing a full circuit. But then they go into character creation as well as vehicle creation. First with vehicles, there are 3 stats for the vehicle: body, boost, and grip.
A pretty standard fare.
Mm-hmm. Each stat starts at F, so 1 point, and can increase to E, D, C, B, and A. Upgrading each stat costs 1 point, and you start with 10 points to invest. Your vehicle also starts with energy, which is the shield, and that is 4 plus body. Body is the vehicle's durability and how it can plow, and its ability to plow through. Playing cards that are equal to or under a vehicle's body allows you to attack another racer and or ignore the negative effects of 1 square of a feature for that move. Boost is the vehicle's nitro. After the first lap, once per turn, you can spend 1 energy to play another card to move again, as long as it's equal to or below your boost value. This can be after or before the first movement, and can activate body and or grip. Now, if you can't or choose not to play a card, you can still move 4 squares, but can't use body/grip. And grip is handling, the ability to turn effectively without losing any speed. If you play a card with a value that's equal to or under your grip, you may move diagonally as well as orthogonally for that move. And given the fact that if we're using a playing card deck and the highest it goes is A, which has a value of 6, that does mean that unless there's something else that I'm missing, the higher cards are going to be an issue. But I'll get back to that in a bit. Actually, but on the pilot end, you have an alignment, a gimmick, and you start with 4 stats: physical, mental, social, and material. The skill. They say each skill starts at F, but I think they mean the 4 stats here, because otherwise I don't see anything that references skills. And hello there, Hydra, who says, "Hello, Mildred, I'd like to report a murder. Your Wilds just won over Pittsburgh 5-0. Yeah, but it's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a bunch of old guys. So I'm like, yeah, we won, but is it really a victory? But regardless, that 10-point rule is still applicable. You start out with 4 resolve. Resolve is mechanically identical to energy. It can represent a pilot's physical health, their control over their power, or just the will to keep on going. You also choose alignment, either face, heel, or tweener. Kind of funny that a racing game is using wrestling terms.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, this is interesting. But then again, if it is channeling F-Zero, didn't F-Zero kind of have those archetypes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the anime.
Oh, yeah.
Then gimmick.
I mean, just look at Captain Falcon. That's all you need to know.
Yep. It didn't help that you had so many racers who were wearing a mask. And never took the mask off in public, which is a very Lucha Libre thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the gimmick, which is a sentence defining the persona, kind of akin to the concept thing that we see in World of Darkness games. And then the 4 stats, which are pretty self-explanatory for each of them. After that, they talk about getting ready, which is basically setting up the track. And each player should draw from the deck until they have a hand of 4 cards. If you only have a couple of players, a hand of 5 might be a better size. Decide whoever goes first by whatever means is appropriate. Dice rolling, rock, paper, scissors, coin flipping, alphabetical order, or gladiatorial combat. Okay.
Awesome. I'm sold already.
Death race.
But you're playing this game. Isn't every game a death race?
Yeah, you've seen
Death race.
You've seen the tracks in F-Zero and possibly some of the tracks in Redout.
Oh yes, I've raced every single track in F-Zero, and F-Zero X, and most, if not all, in F-Zero GX.
It's funny. I will note it's funny that they brought up Redout earlier because, like I said, that is a successor to Wipeout, including having the cruelty of Wipeout.
Oh yeah.
I've talked about evil game design. Wipeout, especially PS1 era Wipeout, definitely fit that bill with some of the really, really mean blind turns that it does.
I haven't played Wipeout since '95. That's a nostalgia trip.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of the later games dialed back on the evil, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
So, when it comes to playing cards, on their turn, players lay down cards to display a card value, then drive their vehicle's token forward, backwards, or sideways, up to a number of squares equal to the card's value. If you have no cards, play off the top of the deck. You don't have to drive the full value. After movement has concluded and the turn has ended, the player discards the played cards and then draws replacement cards. And hello there, dragon. If the turn is cut off, wait until the resolution of the cutoff and then draw afterwards. Then the value of face, ace, and joker cards are a bit special. These are referred to as shift cards. On a turn that is not your own, you can play a shift card to shift their vehicle into a square in any of the cardinal directions. They cannot attack, use a dash zone, or pass a checkpoint with this. They do not replace this card until the redraw phase at the end of their next turn. However, shift cards can be combined with any existing value cards to shift the final number. So it says face cards are essentially a +1. If played on their own, treat them as 3. Ace cards are treated as a +2 up to 10. If played on its own, treated as 5. Jokers are treated as a +3 if played with a card, and the combined value can go past 10. If it's played on its own, treated as a 7. Alternatively, a joker can be used to initiate a stunt. But for any rules that require a specific value, you play both a value card and a shift card to modify the value. The original card's value is the one that counts for the sake of the rule and not the shift card. So playing a 3 and an ace would result in a 5. For the purposes of a machine with grip C, the original card's value is 3. It is lower than the vehicle's grip and thus applicable for diagonal movement. Ergo, even though the total value surpasses grip, it would still be able to drift 5 squares. That's a interesting setup, and I will always have a soft spot for games that use cards as part of their core mechanic. But if you run out of energy, or you land out of bounds, you blow up and are considered retired.
Yep.
Yep.
That may mean death. So there's your death race quota, Tabby.
Excellent. Do we get to start with 40 players and then I can just, do the spinny thing and then be like, haha, I just killed 4 of you all at once?
Probably not. Also, good luck getting 40 people at one table.
Well, yes, I know, but no, I did that. I would do that during Death Race. I would just like, or if somebody dared to beat me, so if I got second place, that first place person, whoever beat me, they would die that next race. They would just instantaneously. I'd go up there and be like, "Oh wow, you're dead."
But if they are restored, if that option is taken, the next turn is spent recovering from where they started their last turn. If this would spawn them behind a checkpoint, they spawn there instead. They recover with body -2, minimum 1 energy, and end their turn. You can discard cards from your hand to provide extra energy. Each discard gives you 1 energy each. Shift cards give you 2. And you do not refill your hand until your next turn. If you land on a space occupied by another vehicle, you both cohabitate the space. If you land on a dash zone, the dash does not activate. If you were retired because of an attack, the attacker can recover 2 energy. And let's see, then going into racetrack features, but there's no universal approach with that. Examples include the checkpoint, which marks the halfway point of a track. The dash zone, where you can perform a free boost without spending energy. You're considered to have a boost of at least 4 when you do that. If you use the dash zone within 2 squares of the last used one, reset your current movement rather than doing another. You can't use the same dash zone twice. See, then guides, which is basically hitting the walls. If you willingly or unwillingly try to cross them, it blocks movement and costs 1 energy. This can't be ignored by body. Let's see, and of course hazards. If you're in a hazard, you lose 1 energy from when you enter it and every other movement in it. And jump pads, which have you treated as midair and can drive over features except checkpoints or starting lines. You land when you end your movement, activating any features landed on. Landing on another vehicle cohabits the square. Let's see, pits, for if you want to box, as it's called. When you move through a pit, you recover 1 energy. See, then rough. Gotta love those sand traps, huh, Tabby?
I was about to say she was pushed to talk because the kittens are apparently going nuts.
Yeah, but no, yes, sand traps. They're the best.
A rough square is considered the equivalent of moving 2 squares. Rough is ignored if you are boosting for its current movement. And we have slippery. So the track is slick, though I've always found it odd to have slippery tracks when you're using an anti-grav racer. Like how do you do slippery when you're floating above the ground?
Do not know. Perhaps it has something to do with like ice interrupting the floaty parts.
Of course, starting line. There's also the possibility for traps. So even more delving into that whole death race thing. Traps reduce energy by. Yep. Traps reduce energy by 2 and launches you ahead 2 squares for free via recoil. And we have wayward. So every 3 squares you move, you have to move 1 square as a free movement without decreasing your movement total in a certain direction. The wind must be really strong if it could move cars.
Mm-hmm.
See, and
just those casual 1,000-mile-an-hour winds.
Mm-hmm. And the possibility of out of bounds, which is going to be treated like being retired. But then but that covers the basic rules. When it comes to the advanced rules, this is where we have the possibility of attacking. You know, for those who want to do the whole trading paint or beating and banging with other cars. If the played card value matches or is lower than their vehicle's body, they can perform an attack. The attacker moves into the same square and can continue on, while the victim loses 1 energy and is knocked 2 squares in whatever cardinal direction the attacker chooses. Any racetrack features that are crossed outside of dash zones instantly activate. If the card is a higher value than the attacker's own body, they can instead perform a bump. When you choose a bump, the attacking vehicle loses all leftover movement on impact, and both him and the attacker lose 1 energy. The victim is not defenseless. When an attack is incoming, they can choose to dodge or block. Dodge involves playing a lower value card than the would-be attacker's card, as long as it's also lower than your own body. If successful, you don't take damage and can move up to 2 squares in any cardinal direction. A block of an incoming attack is done by playing an equal or higher value card than the would-be attacker's card, as long as it is also equal to or lower than the victim's own body. If successful, the attack is treated as if it was a bump. Both participants lose 1 energy, and movement ends. Someone who moves away with a dodge cannot attack or use a dash zone. If you dodge or block, you do not redraw until your next turn. Any attack or bump can be negated by a stunt, which, as far as what stunts are, you can do that by either playing doubles of any card or playing a single joker. After you do that, the card is the particular hand count is permanently sacrificed. So your hand count goes down by 1 after doing that stunt. Though maximum hand size is restored when you start a new lap. As far as the kind of stunts you can do, you can either cut off, so completely interrupt an action, so long as the combined value of the cards used for the stunt is set up proper. Of course, a player can interrupt a cutoff as long as the cards are a lower value. On the other hand, you can do a shortcut. Which, if doing so, you can bypass the track's features up to a certain point. It's basically a movement that ignores terrain. The leading player cannot perform a shortcut, as you've got nobody to catch up to, and you can't boost after a shortcut. But then we have enemy racers. So if you need to add in some NPCs to make things interesting. Enemy racers have infinite energy, but can't boost or perform stunts. They lose any and all attacks targeted at them. They have a mechanic for rubber band AI.
Just saying, 40-player death race. See, it's fully but just negate the rule about them not having infinite, or about them having infinite energy, and then boom, 40-player death race.
So you'd have 6 normal players, and then you'd be controlling 34 NPCs. That's gonna be a long race.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the kind of thing I could see being done in Le Mans. You know, just do one long 24-hour session. But instead of doing individual draws for enemy racers, the GM plays 1 card from the top of the deck, and that is used as the movement action. But because of the fact that NPC ones aren't doing stats, they don't have to worry about the whole draw under. On the other hand, if a shift card is drawn, whoever is in first is getting attacked by one of the NPC racers.
Ah, so the blue shell syndrome.
Hmm. By the way, somebody on the Mario Kart dev team was clearly insane when they put in a way for you to pick what drops are going to be in the item boxes before a race, which means you could have a race with nothing but blue shells.
Good lord.
You know, similar to how you can control what items are dropped in in Smash. Somebody decided to bring that over to Mario Kart, and I'm like, oh, lovely. Let's take a game that's already the embodiment of chaos and make it even more chaotic. So imagine...
And I love chaos.
Imagine taking a regular circuit and then all of a sudden everybody gets bullet bills and nothing but bullet bills.
Oh, wow.
But on the other hand, you can declare one of the enemy racers a rival, which just means you're taking an NPC racer and turning it into a GMPC racer.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we already mentioned how Resolve is basically going to work like energy. But when it comes to checks, you have different difficulties which add to the card value. So a novice adds +3 to the card value, max 10. Standard adds +5, max 12. Expert adds 7, max 14, and Master adds 9, max 16. And much like checks on vehicles, the card value has to be equal or below the stat. But the value can be reduced by playing shift cards. And beating the target value once is considered a partial success. Beating it twice is a complete success. And of course, the GM is using their own they're using their own card or drawing from the top deck. Drawing from the top of the deck if you're doing a rival.
Yeah, I love rivals.
Mm-hmm. But I do like this little sidebar here. They should be for when an outcome is both A, uncertain, and B, consequential. Don't use a check for running down a hall. Use a check for keeping up with someone as they run down a hall, or a challenge if they're trying to juke a player.
I really like the artwork in this. It's crude, but it's charming.
Yep.
And very fitting for this.
Let's see, we also have some advice on GMing, as well as mutators, which are modifiers to some of the rules. So we have aerodynamic, which allows boost on the first lap and then counted separately from energy. Boosting does not drain energy, instead it always moves you 4 squares, and the boost skill is how many times it can be used before being depleted. Catch-up artist evens on the playing field for everyone. Any players in last place get +1 to their initial movement value, even surpassing 10. NPC racers in a race do not count towards activating this. And we have Double Dasher. Each vehicle has 2 players, a driver, and each hand controls their vehicle. I feel like for those who really liked Mario Kart Double Dash, that's what they're doing. And Terminal Velocity. There's no set amount of laps, but whenever a player first crosses the finish line on each lap, whoever's in last place is eliminated, until one racer remains. You're thinking of Death Race again, Tabby.
Yeah.
And we have a few sample maps. One being New Velo City. A Taste of High-Speed Dirt. I like that song. And Temple of Fire. And Ganymede Research Facility OX9.
Frozen Path, Fragile as... Holy shit, there are 2 ways you can either fly off the track or get ahead.
Yep.
A la Rainbow Road.
And a track generator in case you need to make a track on the fly using some D10s. Which is a very nice touch. And a few examples for both pilot and vehicle. So this is a very, or rather just one example. So this is a very straightforward kind of game. I think the only thing I find odd is the whole aim low thing with the cards, and the fact that if it caps at 6, that means like 4 of the, no matter how high you go, 4 of the cards just aren't going to be used. So it would take some getting used to, but I think the big elephant in the room is going to be track creation. But what do you think regarding Slipstream?
It seems,
I like it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Something you could do like for like shorter campaigns or one really big long Grand Prix type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you are guaranteed to die in this game, and I think that's like the best part.
It's like the goal is not to die, but at the same time, when you do die, it's going to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking of this one sound effect when you die in Twisted Metal 2 every time someone gets retired in the race. Oh!
Yeah, I could certainly see it. This definitely
It's like
lends
the welcome screen, only more annoying.
This definitely lends itself well to beer and pretzels kind of play.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for those sample tracks that would have docked points, I think the only thing that's going to be a bit odd is handling movement.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. When it comes to doing tracks like this, movement I feel is something I'd probably abstract. In fact, I pretty much did when it came to Chocobo GP in my system.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I didn't think it'd be reasonable to have people try and have to draw a physical track.
Right.
But you know, it is some people can't get past the idea of not having some sort of movement system. But we're gonna take a break for a couple minutes while I refill my tea, and then we'll be back with Red Giant. So see you in a couple minutes. gentlemen. So, this may seem a bit familiar to some because I did interview Corey Burns about this project a few years ago. In fact, let me... Oh yeah, it was 4 years ago when I interviewed him about its Kickstarter run. Now, Corey Burns of Rookie Jet Studio is certainly no stranger to the monastery, going all the way back to Overarms. But and also, it doesn't surprise me to see Rooster here as part of the layout. But this was a project that he kickstarted back in 2021. I talked with him about it as part of the interview series. And I will note the page count is 120, but it's not as daunting as it might appear. But this is a post-apocalypse involving a eternal night and a red moon constantly in the sky. Life is tragic, simply because the earth turns and the sun inexorably rises and sets, and one day for each of us, the sun will go down for the last time. Perhaps the whole root of our trouble, the human trouble, is that we will sacrifice all the beauty of our lives, will imprison ourselves in totems, taboos, crosses, blood sacrifices, steeples, mosques, races, armies, flags, nations, in order to deny the fact of death, which is the only fact we have. It seems to me that one ought to rejoice in the fact of death, ought to decide, indeed, to earn one's death by confronting with passion the conundrum of life. James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time. No one knows how the Red Giant came to be. Some believe it's an act of God, some believe it was ancient technology, but no matter how the planet became cursed, it is clear that you cannot save this world.
Yeah, so it's perpetually fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something for you to use on one of your worlds that's been done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've already done that.
Yep. After the Red Giant appeared, you started seeing horrific beings and aberrations from the soil itself. And it is noted that this is very much a bleak setting, influenced by Vampire Hunter D, Berserk, and Claymore. And going into what role-playing is, I'm going to do a fit to page. No, I will not do a fit to page. That text is way too small.
Getting real Planet Apocalypse vibes from this.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
Except with far less doom and more, as you said, Berserk.
Oh yeah. I mean, Planet Apocalypse was Peterson's project.
It's a very good book.
Mm-hmm. But then we get into characters. After going into a bit of setting a tone.
I like this quote. Man is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. Jean-Paul Sartre.
Mm-hmm.
That's a name I've never seen before.
So, as far as creating characters, obviously the first step is having a concept in mind. You have 4 stats to deal with: strength, reflex, mind, and charm. Strength for checks requiring physical power, reflex for checks requiring grace, speed, and poise, mind for checks requiring concentration and precision, and charm for checks for persuasion, deceiving, interrogating, intimidating, charming, provoking, etc. It is funny that the shortened version of charm is still CHA. So again, we still have the thought of charisma.
Yeah.
to begin creating your character, you select one of the spreads and record them, taking each value from the set and placing in one of the desired stats. So we
The
have...
second game I use like arrays or an array type thing.
Yep, we have an array setup with the spreads being average, 1 6, 3 8s, focused, 2 6s, 1 8, and a 10, specialty, a 4, 2 8s, and a 10, and hyper focused, a 4, a 6, and 2 10s. You also have 3 more special stats: health, spirit, and sanity, which will be determined by the archetype you choose for your character. You also have 40 Joss, or is that Yos? Basically your money, and an item slot's equal to 4 plus your strength. Item slots denote how many items you can carry. You cannot carry more items than you have slots. Most items have a size of 1 and take up 1 slot. Heavier items, like bulky items or armor to even heavier weapons, can take up more slots depending on size.
So we're operating kind of the Diablo principle.
Groups of small items can be bundled into the same slot. Joss does not carry weight. You start with 2 days of rations and 1 weapon of your choice. And after that, you choose attributes, which is a roll or choice thing. This can be personality, flaws, past, and misfortune. You can roll a d20 on one of these tables, choose your own, or make your own. So, we have personality, the characteristics and qualities that make up your PC. Flaw, the main flaw or weakness. Past, the previous career or life path. And misfortune, which is something terrible that befell you that affects you even now. Obviously, each of these is a one-word thing because it's meant to be a starting point. But after that, you choose a archetype, or you can roll one. This determines your starting health, spirit, and sanity. You also get the first skill of your archetype. Let's see, the archetypes we have are the Vagabond, the Hunter, the Slayer, BFG Division intensifies, the Sorcerer, the Aegis, which seems to be a limited kind of healer, the Hidden, so your sneaky boy, the Haunted, the Speaker, the Siren, the Traveler, and those are the 10 potential archetypes. Each of them having 3 skills. You start with the first one. So when I was reading through the archetypes here, for whatever reason, I kept thinking of Arcana in a tarot deck. Although trying to do the full Arcana list would result in a lot of redundancies.
And overlap.
I can see that.
And after that, you take 1 to 3 exchanges. In Red Giant, an exchange is truly an exchange of power. Something sweet in exchange for something bitter. You must take at least 1 exchange for your player character, but no greater than 3. Exchanges can be earned thematically over the course of a campaign. And starting exchanges can be written into your backstory and give you a bit of inspiration. They essentially give you some sort of unique power, but each one has a price. Hence, calling it an exchange. Some of the archetypes we saw give additional exchanges as a skill, which just means an additional price. And I don't think this is something you could really min-max. I mean, you possibly could, but it would be a case of missing the point. Uh, let's see. For example, alchemists, you can change size 1 objects into other size 1 objects as long as the materials are compatible. But each time you use it, you lose 1d4 health. Or, for example, Blessing of Labor. Once per day, you may be able to find work. The work you find may or may not be satisfying. However, something always goes wrong during the job.
So some Final Destination shit. Got it.
Mm-mm. Or on the other hand, we have Bone Witch. You gain 12 mystical bones. You may toss 1 bone to make a simple wish, like rations, clear weather, healed wounds, safe passage, etc., to be fulfilled by supernatural forces. However, each wish fulfilled this way causes a bone to break on your own body. This begins with a finger and slowly works up to more debilitating breaks until the final bone is tossed and your neck snaps.
Oh, brutal.
Mm-mm. Or we have Crow Keeper. A flock of crows abide by your will and will follow your every command, but you are indefinitely blind.
Do not show Faye this. Don't show her this.
Oh, so like the Guardian in Doom 3. God, that boss was annoying.
Hey, look, I found Sig. Fire starter.
That was me in an old life, thank you very much. You can create a 3-foot-tall flame from thin air that can be used in a myriad of ways. However, when entering an area with people and buildings, you are compelled to commit arson.
Yeah, like I said, this isn't something you can min-max.
Nope.
And I think that's why it says you can pick you can pick up to 3 exchanges freely, because the more exchanges you pick, the more prices that you have to deal with like that.
This really, really feels like Monkey's Paw.
Yep.
I swear, officer, the jar of oil just combusted all on its own. I don't know what the fuck happened.
It just combusted. It's fine.
I don't care that it leveled an entire block.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't my fault.
I didn't do nothing.
But we also have things like God-Handed. You can only use this once, ever. The target creature or horror is banished by a swipe of your hand and is immediately destroyed. However, 1 random party member is immediately sacrificed and destroyed.
Well, that sucks for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well then.
Since it is random, the GM is going to decide who's going to get wiped.
Hey, look, they reference an old FPS in here. Heretic. You lose no sanity on encounters when the sanity rating is 14+. However, mysterious forces prevent you from entering areas where the mains or holy symbols are located.
Mm-hmm. Or
yeah, that sounds like Corvus, all right.
Or think things like Moonkissed. At night, you gain advantage on all checks. However, during the day, you gain disadvantage on all checks.
Oh no, I kind of like Sword Collector. For each sword you currently carry, add 1 to your damage rolls. However, each sword after your first is cursed in some manner. You see, this is why I only carry the 1.
Although, what could be even worse is Weapon Master. Any weapon you use now requires strength plus mind for both accuracy and damage checks. However, any weapon you use has a 50-50 chance to break whenever damage is dealt. Flip a coin. If heads, the weapon is intact. If tails, the weapon breaks.
If I wanted this, I'd just play Breath of the Wild.
And there is the possibility of being a vampire or a werewolf.
Do I want to shop at Hot Topic, or do I just want to be hairy and have fleas?
Do you want to shop at Hot Topic or at Dick's Sporting Goods?
Is there a downside to either of these?
I don't know if you're not a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas. Seriously, half of the damn Hot Topics I've ever been in my life have nothing but Nightmare Before Christmas.
I
don't
really
know.
liked
I don't know
when
why.
I first saw it.
But with Vampire, we have you gain +1 to any checks involving Persuasion and Deception, +1 to any checks involving Reflex, and Perfect Sight even in the darkest environment. However, you now require blood instead of rations and twice the amount. Going for 2 days without the required blood will result in paranoia, self-harm, and violent behavior against anyone and everyone in sight. Anytime someone living is bit by a vampire, they become a vampire as well.
So you're a Malkavian. Got it.
It could be worse. You could be a Nosferatu.
That is true.
Where everybody looks at you like what are you doing out of the sewers?
And if you get sighted by anyone human, it's basically a death sentence for you.
Yeah, because you, 1, are a monster, and 2, you stink.
Yeah.
But with Werewolf, at night and whenever you see the moon, you may immediately transform into a werewolf and add +5 to the result of any damage you deal. You stay transformed through the night, but retain your memories, instinct, and motives. However, you may only use this 4 times before permanently becoming a werewolf and losing your mind, effectively killing the character. Oh,
so this isn't like Curse of Darkness.
Yeah.
I see the mouth moving, but I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. So, not only is this Curse of Darkness, this is the OG style of werewolf, which I definitely appreciate. No transforming at will or anything like that. No servant of Gaia having to fight against the worm. Oh, sorry, that was World of Darkness werewolves. I like werewolf, but I honestly think the whole concept of the worm suffered from the Moriarty problem.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that one of the, in my opinion, mistakes with Sherlock Holmes in the story The Final Problem was this implication that every single case that Holmes had worked on up until that point, Moriarty had some direct or indirect hand on.
Mm-hmm.
I know that kind of thing might make it sound like he's some criminal mastermind, which he certainly is. He's meant to be an intellectual equal to Holmes. But it also bottlenecks the world. For the same reason the whole Pa Wraith thing was seen as a mistake with Deep Space Nine, or the whole light and dark spirit in Legend of Korra was most definitely a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing, because the big reason I end up saying that is when you look at the original werewolf, it's like everything bad was somehow tied to the malevolent force known as the Worm, and because of that, other villain factions don't have as much room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to character advancement. Whenever you overcome a challenge or peril, you can level up and get the rewards of becoming stronger. When they level up is up to the GM. but there are two possible benefits. One is a die stat upgrade. And yeah, this is as good a time as any to mention. This is using dice as stats instead of hard numbers, in a sense. That's why you only saw even numbers with the stat arrays. Those are meant to correspond to different dice. In that regard,
so it's kind of like Savage Worlds.
Savage Worlds and, more pertinent, Ryutama. Because checks are combinations of two stats, or sometimes the same stat twice. So you can take one of your stats and upgrade that die to the next highest. Of course, the max is D12. So hey, the D12 isn't lonely here. Instead, it's the D20 that's not allowed into the club.
This time.
Mm-hmm. On the other hand, you can choose to unlock the next archetype skill associated with your archetype. And it's something that's done alternatively. You can also play with all of the archetype skills unlocked right from the get-go, or by starting at higher levels, but that's considered a more advanced option.
Yeah.
So, at first level up, you unlock your first skill, then upgrade a die stat, then a second one, then upgrade die stat, and it looks like you are capped. Since you are capped at 5, you're not going to be able to eventually bring everything up to D12.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, because of how bleak the world is, I don't think you're expected to survive that long anyways.
Wouldn't be the first time I've lost a character in the first game. I've got both of my Call of Cthulhu games to answer for that.
By the way, Traveler says hi. You know, the game where you can die during character creation.
I haven't played that yet.
But obviously, then we get to playing the game, starting with the stats and checks. We already covered the stats, so I'm not going to repeat that. So when you're doing a check, you are rolling the dice associated with the stats that are requested and trying to beat a target number. Unless it's stated otherwise, a check is rolling 2 dice, 1 for each associated stat, and adding the appropriate bonuses. If you have any items, abilities, or whatnot that affect one of these stats, add them after the roll. So, target numbers start at 4 and go up by 2, except for 12, except past 12, where it goes up to 16 and then 20. So, but the baseline is 4. Now, if you're doing a more competitive thing, instead of trying to beat a target number, you're just trying to get higher than the others. With advantage and disadvantage, you are rolling both stats twice and taking the greater or lower results. Which certainly makes sense. And because of how it's set up, I don't have as much of an issue here with the fact that advantage and disadvantage doesn't stack. Because when you're rolling pairs of dice, having it stack would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But as far as combat, it is very much on a popcorn initiative approach, in a sense. At the start of each combat round, you determine initiative by rolling d6. On a 1 to 3, all the enemies act first. On a 4 to 6, all the PCs act first. This is re-rolled each round. So if the dice really hate you, you could end up with multiple turns where you don't get to do a damn thing. But on your turn, you can move up. You can move your speed, usually 40 feet unless otherwise stated, and take one combat action. This can be casting a spell, making a second movement, making an attack, attempting a feat, or any action deemed reasonable. Melee can strike adjacent foes. Ranged cannot be used if you're engaged in melee combat. So no firing from melee.
Mm-hmm.
To make an attack, you use the stats associated with the weapon's accuracy check against the target's reflex. So instead of them rolling reflex twice or something like that, you just look at the raw number for a reflex, which is going to be from 4 to 12, and that's your TM. If you hit, you roll the damage check against the target's defense modifier. Any excess damage goes straight to health. When you reach 0 health, you're unconscious. When you reach -1 health or less, you're dead. If a NPC reaches 0 health, you immediately die. You can get advantage in combat, which is applied to checks or an attempted feat at GM's discretion, usually in advantageous position. You could also get disadvantage in combat at GM's discretion. But then you also have feats, which is referred to as feats, but from what it's describing, it seems to be akin to a stunt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, feats cannot cause damage directly, but can do so indirectly, like pushing an enemy off a ledge. Just remember, per the rules of fiction, if you are shot from a high place, you will fall to your death.
Mm-hmm.
As Chuck has said, bullets may do you in, but gravity will not be denied its ritual sacrifice.
Wait, if you fall from a tall place, you die? What kind of game is this? It's like saying if you jump into lava, you die. Come on.
Oh, no, we don't need to be bringing that up.
No, we don't need to go over the horrific death from being submerged in liquid hot magma.
Was referring to a certain clip from a certain infamous YouTuber who was playing Jak and Daxter and was surprised when he fell in the lava that he died.
See, I just force my players to put their hands in lava and lose their hands.
I think the last time I used lava, I had made people take heat damage just from being around it.
Yep, I did that too in our final dungeon. Someone almost died. It was fantastic, and they were like max level.
But you do have to take into consideration time to rest, eat, and drink. You can go up to 3 days without food or water before you become malnourished. If you're malnourished, your walking speed is 0. You can't participate in combat. Your health is halved until you cure the illness by eating or drinking. If you go 5 days without food or water, you die. You have to eat 2 portions of daily rations in order to stay healthy. You may only need to eat once a day if you have a cooked meal, quality meal, or feast. If you're not eating, drinking, or resting, the GM may provide additional penalties as they see fit. And they also suggest having one character keep watch when sleeping out in the wilderness for the night. Though then again, everything is the wilderness. And they said it is possible that you may be comfortable enough in a spot where you don't need to have anyone keeping watch. But this should be a luxury. If someone's keeping watch, they are awake throughout the night and into the next day. During this time, the party benefits by being alert to any and all threats, but whoever was keeping watch suffers disadvantage on all checks until they sleep again.
Mm.
Uh, but after a meal and a full night's rest, you get 1d6 HP. Which, given the starting HP of some of the archetypes we saw, that's not a whole lot. And I don't think your HP is good. Your HP does not change when your stats go up. So what you've got for your archetype, that's what you got.
Yep.
You can also treat your own wounds using bandages and other medical supplies. Once a wound has been treated, you regain 1d4 HP.
I actually really like that because, like, while it's very you know, a lot of people don't heal fully whenever you how am I putting this? It's better than the long rest will heal you to full because I mean, I don't know if I speak for everyone, but whenever I go to sleep, I don't wake up feeling like $1,000,000 every single time if I'm like deathly ill the day before, you know? So I kind of like the idea that you're not fully healed after a full night's rest and a meal. It's like, okay, I feel better, but I'm not perfect.
But beyond that, you can earn money, which is referred to as Joss. From looting bodies to completing quests to doing errands, there's always money to be made for those who are willing to put themselves in some kind of harm.
Not sure how much good money does in a post-apocalypse, but
Well, even in Fallout, bottle caps became the currency.
yeah.
Yep.
So, how much money you get from things is going to be a GM call. But I do like this last sentence. Even if you hand out too much money, there are plenty of ways in Red Giant for your players to lose the coin or lose their heads.
Or sometimes both.
Mm-mm.
Looking at you, Valifor from frickin' Bloodstained.
and sanity. Everyone has a sanity rating. Upon encountering a monster, horror, or creature, you have to make a sanity check against the target's sanity rating. A sanity check is unique since it utilizes your mind and your current sanity to resolve. If your roll is higher than the monster's sanity rating, then you succeed. You withstand the shock of what stands before you and retain your sanity. If the roll is lower, deduct the difference between your roll and the monster's sanity from your current sanity. If it reaches 0, you're dead. Roll up a new character. You can gain 1 sanity for each night you are well rested and have a meal. And there are other ways to restore your sanity. Acts of faith, the presence of community, an evening of drinking and laughter, or even resting for the day to shop and experience a sense of normalcy can restore sanity. Each time sanity is recovered, it should only increase by +1 or +2, depending on the situation.
Mhm.
So, sanity is easy to lose and hard to get back. Certainly fitting what this game is trying to be.
Yep.
On the other hand, spirit is how spiritually or magically adept you are. This can be used to cast different kinds of magic. Whenever magic is used, subtract the cost of that magic from your spirit. If it reaches 0, you can't cast magic for the day or until you restore spirit. You regain 1d6 spirit for each night you are well rested and have a meal. You can also get it from meditating, praying, or anything else like that. But much like with sanity, the bonus from that should be either +1 or +2. And we do have a temperament roll for NPCs if you need to randomly generate their temperament. So it could be aggressive, bitter, disinterested, conversational, or amicable. Once again, so even though Spirit lets you use magic, it's clear you shouldn't be abusing it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice touch, I'd say. And Then when it comes to items, they say you can use OSR books and other materials to port things over, which certainly fits. When it comes to armor, the range seems to be from 1 to 5, and because of how they stated with armor being defense, it's essentially soak. No dodging in plate kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know some people have tried to explain what that is implying, but when plate ends up giving you a large increase to a large amount of armor class in that game, I can't help but look at it as someone being able to do perfect dodges like they're bobbing and weaving in plate mail. But on the other hand, some of the strongest armors have the biggest size. Like plate and silver, which have a defense of 4 and 5 respectively, have a size of 3. So that's almost all of your base. Aside from what you're getting from your stats, obviously. And then we have regarding weapons. So this is what was meant by the accuracy setup, each weapon having a different pair. Some getting a +1, some getting a -1. The damage being based on... If this is using the setup I think it is, it would be... So for example, the technical weapon, the damage would be not necessarily your strength stat, but whatever die you rolled for strength. And I like that instead of going with a lengthy list of potential weapons that could be infinite, we instead have light weapon, technical weapon, basically archetypal weapons, and miscellaneous for weapons that don't fit the other categories, like a hand cannon, a prosthetic weapon, etc. I know hand cannon was a type of firearm, but that's not what I'm envisioning when they're talking about hand cannon here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the size. I do like that they're not tracking size for arrows or other projectiles, because those would be small enough that it shouldn't. It should not matter. And then the tools and gear. I think you could carry over the GP cost of a lot of items in other games to this easily. And as far as the size thing, you can just use I think the size reference in the Black Hack can be used for that. But I will say, one thing from older RPGs I definitely don't miss is tracking item weight regarding encumbrance. I very much prefer this whole slot-like approach that we've had for the last few years.
Or in Fallout 76, where they literally had to take a box of bobby pins to Todd Howard and say, "Weigh this."
Wait, seriously?
Yes, Todd Howard himself said that. Because apparently bobby pins and whatnot had a certain weight, and that really over encumbered you and when it was first released.
I just have this mental image of somebody bringing that right to his desk and say, "Put this on a scale." Just a big box full of bobby pins.
Mm-hmm.
It probably wasn't that big, but let a guy dream, damn it.
Yeah.
Because the problem with using hard weights, even if it's done for realism purposes, it ends up making things unrealistic for other reasons. But then we have a food list. Although I feel bad for anybody who for their food is just eating salt or spices. or eating 1 bushel of onions.
Ew.
Can't that kill you?
I don't know if it can. Probably wish it did.
It'll make you. Yeah, I was gonna say you probably wish it wouldn't make you dead.
Mm-mm. Let's see, then for animals, then for traveling aboard ships, as well as transports. Then the price of different buildings, the price of doing hirelings per day, not including food, supplies, shelter, etc., and lodging. And then keeping the calendar. The calendar month is on a lunar schedule. There are 4 months to each calendar year, the months being spring, summer, fall, and winter. At the start of each month, the GM rolls on the calendar event table. Then the GM writes 3 to 5 events of their choosing for on the calendar for the current month. These events are to be hidden from everyone else besides the GM until they occur.
I don't know why, but I immediately think Shingen the ruler when I see this.
Mm-mm.
Sir, we can't move due to snowfall. Disaster rose by this much.
Why am I thinking of disaster report? But we have a few examples of calendar events. An injury from travel, issues with travel due to weather.
Sir, we can't move because of snowfall.
A large creature blocks the path ahead. None shall pass. Clear weather and safe travels. I think this one would make people even more paranoid. A hazard blocking the path ahead. As I already said that. Someone finds an item on the road. Ooh, this rock is shiny. It may have some important role in our quest. A merchant is found.
Shiny.
A group of thieves appear. A horror appears. A creature appears. Severe weather. Each PC loses 1d4 items in the panic. A local festival. Something unexplainable happens. Someone learns magic. Someone becomes cursed. Or an angel appears. Though, given this setting, I feel like the angels would be akin to the biblically accurate angel.
Mm-hmm. Or the Ashen Angels from Planet Apocalypse. Those things are freaky.
Be not afraid, they say while looking like something out of your nightmares.
Besides that, I don't think you can actually look upon one without getting your eyes burned out of your sockets.
Yes. But then we have the matter of creating the map. It is very much on a hex map. It does suggest the GM creating a few myths regarding the area. And we do have a few random tables for creating the map itself, if you want to go full random. And with traveling the map, it is advised to have at least one character having the map in their inventory. If the travelers lack a map, you have to roll 1d6 to determine which of the surrounding hexes you move into. And we also have an example of travel times. So 4 hours, easy to traverse. 24 hours, worst conditions possible. But then we have of magic and curses. We do have a bit of a spell casting setup. Magic is in 3 categories: speech, staves, and orbs. These 3 types of magic are useful in their own regards and can all be used by PCs. Aside from a player's character's background or exchange, it's up to the game master to determine when and how magic is received. And both GM and players are encouraged to invent new spells and effects that can be cast.
Oh God, I'm flashing back to the spellcasting setup from Uninvited.
So
You
speech
know,
man. So the spell list for speech is composed of individual keywords that you can string together for their own individual spell concoctions, and are believed to be handed down from humanity by the Birch people. Keywords are in three categories: modem, which determines the spell's effect; spatium, which determines the size and range of the spell; and vim, the strength of the spell.
Vikan Hifa da Braxis.
um, Latu, Barata, Nick.
God damn it! You just awakened the army of the dead.
You're unable to create, copy, or transcribe keywords in any capacity. You have to obtain new keywords from grimoires, tomes, obelisks, or even by hearing them spoken by Birch people. But you can never reproduce these in any way other than your own voice. If you are carrying such texts, it's likely you're going to be hunted due to their rarity and the magic energy contained within them. And speech is performed by combining the keywords you have and subtracting the spirit required. When speech magic is used against an inanimate object, it requires no check to determine the outcome. Speech magic used this way is always successful. When trying to use it and cause harm to another creature, the caster and the target make a mind plus charm competition check to determine the outcome of the spell. If the target is willing, no need. Speech magic must always begin with a modem and can be augmented by adding additional keywords. A spell must always include one modem and one spatium in order to be cast. And then we have the list of each type. First, the grimoires of modem, so the effect of the spell. Then spatium, so the space or AoE. And lastly, vim, which can add effects and is basically akin to the spell tiers you see in Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy or even Shin Megami Tensei, just with more. Each one of the words has a different spirit cost, and it is a very interesting mix and match setup.
Kind of reminds me of the spellcasting in the Ultima series, at least from 4 on.
Given the fact that spells are a combination of words like this, I also think of the circles of power in Eternal Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have staves. You know, your wizard staff, though there's a bit more to it. Staves can be composed of iron, wood, bone, or other materials, and are usually created through rituals or inscribing runes on them. They're mostly passive and defensive, and are able to be continuously used as long as you have objects of equal value, proportional to that of the spell embedded within the staff. All staves are size 2 items.
Unless you have that that curse that every time you use it, you have a chance of it breaking.
Mm-hmm. So these are essentially magic staffs, and it seems the approach is that when you use them, you don't have to spend spirit, but you do have to spend material components equal to the cost in Joss.
I would house rule it that if a staff breaks, some magical effect happens when the staff does break.
You break the staff, and then things go boom.
Yeah, pretty much.
I could see that. Now, orbs, which are the most common form of magic, they can't be made, but you can find them all over the world. They are one-time use spells that use your spirit in order to activate them. You simply crush it in your hand and will the effect at the target. Orbs are categorized by colors, and their effects can be inferred based on this. They are size 1 items unless otherwise stated. And then we have a list of example orbs. So I guess orbs would fill the role of scrolls, except a scroll, oftentimes, you don't have to spend MP or the equivalent to use it. It's just once you use it, it's gone.
Yeah,
Here-
single-use item.
Yeah, here you have to spend it, and it's a single-use item. But there does seem to be implication that you're going to find more orbs than as a means to use magic than other matters. But then we have curses. Various types of curses are commonplace among people who travel into dangerous lands. It can range from a ring that won't come off all the way to being transformed into a creature. As time goes on, you can rest assured you will encounter curses. Now, you are able to break curses, but that should be considered rare and dangerous. Some curses are temporary, others not. And they give a few examples, and if you need to determine a random curse, you can roll 2d20 and look at this list. So we have some mundane things like being struck with blindness, or the next time you go to sleep, you dream of a burning lake. The dreams become nightmares over time, and you instinctively become aware of the direction of the lake, and you are compelled to try and reach it. Or all of your equipment glows brightly for 24 hours. Or you weep tears of blood uncontrollably, reducing your maximum. I think there's a bit of a typo here, so I'm not. I think it's supposed to be maximum HP, but something happened. Not sure what. If this reduces your maximum HP to 0, you die. For it, and that HP penalty, which I think is what that is every hour the curse remains active. You could have it that you get the werewolf exchange or the vampire exchange. Or perpetually magical darkness surrounds you for 25 feet, transmittable by touch.
Oh, jeez.
Or things like the material of the cursed character's weapon changes to the next material they touch. Or
imagine your rare diamond sword turns into a sword made of wood.
Or when you're killed for the first time each day, the wounds heal and you instead stabilized. If you are not killed once a day, you are permanently slain. Or something mundane like you lose D4 random letters of your name.
These are interesting rules.
Or you begin aging at 5 years an hour. When you reach 100 years, you die, and an infant crawls from the body's clothing. It continues to age at the same rate until it reaches 20. It's the same character with the same memories.
So it's Kenny.
Or a heavy thunderstorm follows you wherever you go.
That's got to be awkward when you go into taverns. Oh, God, no. He's coming again. Everybody, get the fuck out.
Or, okay, I understand the reference with this one. A strange mouth is fused into the palm of the cursed character's hand and is always giving advice that has a 50-50 chance of being true. The hand also finds joy in trying to attract nearby monsters by screaming. It's a less useful version of Lefty.
Yep.
And then we have the bestiary. And with each one they have the same stat setup as well as defense, health, spirit, and stamina as player characters. The accuracy and damage check is set. Although,
I know what the Amon is. It's the imp from Doom.
remember, treat with shotgun. Your problem persists, treat with more shotgun.
Yep.
But I like that each of these is this single page, so you could easily print these out and use them. And several of them have their own special attribute. Some of them have their own art, and some of them don't. There are quite a few. And then there are the horrors, which these are the ones that are gonna be something that the GM should probably use when they need to humble the players, or when the players bite off more than they can chew. Like the atrophy, which is a cloud of gas that melts anything that comes into contact with it. Or the beast, which is an apocalyptic beast wielding a large axe. But yeah, a lot of the horrors seem to be boss tier encounters, or things that you shouldn't be trying to pick a fight with.
Oh god, they have Legion in here. He is many. He is one.
There's also the laughter, which is a haze that causes you to literally laugh to death. And yeah, we do have Legion. We also have the things like the Muse, a deity of extraordinary size consisting of 3 torsos, 6 arms, and 3 heads made from living marble. And the 13 Kings, which, given that it's all question marks except for sanity, you probably shouldn't be fighting them.
Yeah, no kidding.
Especially since each stands at 2,000 feet tall and is made up of pure darkness aside from their eyes and crowns.
Yeah, I don't think I want to fuck with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it says right at the end, do not approach. But the final section is a couple scenarios. So a few scenario adventures, as well as this own monster known as the Unclean. Each one having a nice little thing, and the second adventure has the False God. Then we have the character sheet, which this is one game where I think you could get away with a 1-page character sheet. And that is more or less the end of it. So, with that in mind, what did you guys think of Red Giant before I go into my thoughts?
I'm a big fan of post-apocalyptic games, and this seems like something I would absolutely play, even if it's like shorter session games or just shorter campaigns.
I think that I would play it. I do like I am a fan of things like this as well. I think that it's definitely something that would be it would be fun because, like, yeah, you can't be saved, but at the same time it's like what can happen. It's got that it's got the brain's not braining, but it's got like the hook of what more can happen there.
Mm-hmm.
What could possibly go wrong? everything.
Everything can go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Uh, a lot of that same 2 dice setup that I've seen in some of Corey's other projects, Esper's notwithstanding, which takes a different approach. We may get to Esper's one of these days, but one of the big things that I take out of this is a dedication to theme, especially with how restrained the visual design is.
Yeah,
Because we only ever see 3 colors: black, white, and red. And when it comes to the art, that it is equally restrained, and that's in it kind of reminds me of what I saw with Okazaki with the manga version of Afro Samurai, where it was black and white except for the blood.
yeah.
Mad World did that as well.
Why, something about those type of games that I really like.
Mm-hmm. As far as any nitpicks, I can't think of much on that front, because everything is exactly what it needs to be. This can be a very beer and pretzels game. I couldn't see a lengthy year-long campaign being done out of this.
I would say at least a good few sessions of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't see someone doing multiple years worth of campaign with this, but a dozen or so sessions, I could see that. Or at the very least, if you're doing a lengthy campaign, either have people do multiple characters or have a higher lethality. Though we saw in the bestiary, there's no shortage of things that are willing and able to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So there is certainly that. But with that said, I think if I was to put it in my grading system, Red Giant would get strongly recommended.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
concur with that.
Slipstream RX would get recommended. It's good, but there are a few oddities that keep it from being full on great. At least from what I'm seeing here.
I mean, to be fair, it is trying to emulate F-Zero on tabletop form, and that's not exactly, I wouldn't say the hardest thing to do, but it's not easy either.
Mm-hmm. But when we come back, possibly next week, depending on how people are feeling after Turkey Day, we will be returning to Draw Steel and starting with the way checks work, and along with a few other mechanics. So that should be an interesting thing to go into. In fact, we're going to be doing the main way tests work, i.e. checks. Though some of it will probably be skimming because it's already stuff we've tackled, as well as combat. Though again, some of it is going to be familiar, just due to the fact that we had to jump ahead on certain things in our look at the different classes.
And considering how many there were and how all of them were bangers, it was good that we spent a little more time on those.
Mm-hmm. But that being said, as always, a sincere thanks to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come all the way to the monastery and enjoy the madness that happens here. And anyone, and there will be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
我所